international scene, we have what's happening in Israel and between Israel and Iran. And what is our leadership in this country doing to support Israel or not? That's a big issue right now. And so joining us to discuss that issue is Joel Rosenberg. Joel is founder and editor-in-chief of allisrael.com, best-selling author. Most of you are familiar with Joel. He's on Jenna Ellis's program oftentimes, and he joins us this morning. Joel, good morning. This is Tim.
Tim, it's great to be with you from Washington. How are you?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. From Washington. Now, you have dual citizenship, or do you just you go to Israel often? How does that work?
Yeah, dual citizenship. We're U.S. and Israeli citizens. We live in Jerusalem. 2 of our 4 sons have served in the Israeli army, including one of them in a special forces unit and one of them up on the Lebanon border. So, yeah, we're all in. I happen to be right now, Tim, in the middle of a 1-month speaking tour across the United States, briefing evangelical leaders and lay people on what is happening in Israel, Iran, Gaza, Lebanon, and the broader region I call the Epicenter, and mobilizing them to pray. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to come on your program today and talk about what's happening, because it's a fast-moving and very dangerous story.
Joel, it's Fred Jackson here. I want to play you a bit of a clip from President Joe Biden, who was asked about what's going on in Israel right now and Israel's threat to respond to the missile attack from Iran the other day. And so I just want to play this for you and get your response to Joe Biden's feeling about how Israel should or should not respond. Cut number 6.
Sure.
And there's going to be some sanctions imposed on Iran. And if you support an attack on Iran's nuclear site by Israel?
The answer is no. I think there's things. Well, we discussed with the Israelis what they're going to do, but all 7 of us agree that they have a right to respond. That they should respond and force it.
So, Joel, what the president appeared to be saying, the 7 he was referring to as the G7 countries. They're supposed to put out a joint statement on how they think Israel should respond. But Biden is certainly saying, no, I would not support Israel targeting Iran's nuclear facilities. Your thoughts?
This is not American leadership. Okay, President Biden constantly says how much he loves Israel, how he stands with us, and how he will never allow Israel to be threatened and never allow Iran to build nuclear weapons. But here is the critical moment. We as Israelis are being attacked from 7 different sides. From Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, the Houthis in Yemen, from Iranian proxy terror groups in Syria, in Iraq, in the West Bank, what we call Judea and Samaria, and of course from Iran itself, with almost 200 ballistic missiles fired at Israel on Tuesday. Now, if there were ever a moment for the United States leadership, the American president, to say, Israel, we have your back, finish the job, we're with you, we will help you, we will supply you, we will arm you. This is the moment. What moment are we what moment is President Biden waiting for? I mean, this is crazy talk. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to say this as a partisan. If President Trump were in office and he were saying this, I would criticize him. But President Biden is not being an ally. He's not being a friend. And every other ally of America around the world is watching. Every enemy of the United States and Israel is watching President Biden and the rest of the G7 not support an ally under attack from 7 different directions, including what some people call the head of the octopus, which is the Iranian regime. This is the moment. This is the moment. Iran has crossed the line, and it's time for Israel to attack Iran's nuclear facilities and destroy them, Iran's oil refinery capacity and destroy it, and do a decapitating strike to take out the Iranian leadership. This is the moment. Iran is the existential threat to Israel. Biden knows it, but Biden is weak, Harris is weak, and they have no intention of helping Israel. Instead, they're trying to get Israel to surrender, and I think that's moral bankruptcy.
Joel, Ed here. By the way, folks, you're listening to Joel Rosenberg, founder.
Are you going to be able to pull anything out of Joel?
It's hard.
I don't know why we did this interview.
It's hard to get him. Yeah, it's hard to get him. Yeah. To
I try to use diplomatic speak, gentlemen. I try to parse my phrases.
Hey, Joel, let me ask you this, and then we'll let Ray Pritchard jump in here too. But it seems like, to your point, it seems like this is the moment. The U.S. has said, members of NATO have said in the past, Israel has said we cannot allow Iran to get a nuclear capability because of the designs they have to be a hegemon in the Middle East. And now that they have blatantly, not just through their proxies, blatantly attacked Israel, this is the perfect moment to do that, what everyone has said they do not want to allow Iran to do. So let me ask you this. Why? Why has Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, why have they walked away from this opportunity for Israel? Is there something that Iran has over the Biden administration? Do they want Israel to fail? Do they want Iran to get nuclear weapons? In reality, what is the explanation in your mind for this?
Yeah, those are all good questions. So let me make a couple points. The first point is I want to be clear to all of your listeners that I don't want war. As an evangelical, as an American, as an Israeli, I'm horrified and grieved by this war, by the suffering, the death, the injuries that are happening. But let's be clear. The Bible is clear in his Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 8. There is a time for peace and there's a time for war. This is a time for war. We didn't start it in Israel. We don't want it, but we have to win it. This is not a matter of surrendering. And that's what Biden and Harris want us to do. They want us to surrender. Now, they won't use the language of surrendering. They use the language of ceasefire. They use the language of permanent ceasefire, of de-escalation.
Two-state solution.
Two-state solutions.
That two-state solution garbage.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. But all of it is code for surrender. And
yes.
The problem with surrendering is you're surrendering to people who, like in Iran, they have no territorial dispute with us. We don't have a border, with Iran. Lebanon, we have a border with Lebanon, but we don't have a territorial dispute with Lebanon. We retreated and gave back southern Lebanon to the Lebanese government in 2000. That's 24 years ago. We don't have a territorial dispute with Gaza. We pulled out every soldier and civilian from Israel out of the Gaza Strip in 2005. That's almost 20 years ago. So these three territories have no territorial dispute with us. But what dispute do they have? They hate us. They see us as a cancer in the region, their words, not mine, and they want to annihilate us. That's their words, not mine. And so you can't just, defend yourself constantly. You have to defeat. Defending is not enough. You have to defeat these enemies. And now they've gone way too far. And a real ally, if the United States was a real ally under Biden, Harris, Walz, you would see the United States helping Israel finish the job. But let's just to summarize that, I would say this. When a political party, when political leaders don't understand what a man is, what a woman is, what a baby is, and don't understand the evils of killing babies in the womb and, chopping off body parts from little girls, little boys, encouraging them to change their genders. When you're that morally confused, is it really that surprising that they don't understand what good and evil is when it comes to foreign policy? And so Israel right now is fighting the enemies of the United States, right? Israel's Israel's only the little Satan in the view of the Iranian leadership. The United States is the great Satan. And once Iran is finished with Israel, they're coming after the United States. Make no mistake about that. But Biden and Harris, Walls, they just genuinely don't understand it. And so war is not a means to win. It's something to get out of as rapidly as possible, even if you have to give up.
I was reading about, by the way, we're talking to Joel Rosenberg. He's the founder and editor-in-chief of allisrael.com. Tim, Ray, Fred, and Ed talking to Joel. I'm going to make this comment, and then if you want to comment, Joel, and then Ray can ask a question if we don't run out of time. Huh? Because we keep telling Ray he's getting a question.
Yeah.
But, he's
Get ready, Ray.
He doesn't believe it's I'm here. So I was reading a comment last night about when the, as Joel said, this is a clear battle of evil versus good. Okay, this is not ambiguous.
Right.
I'm talking about Israel and Iran. All right, and all Joel said about what the state of Israel is facing, the people in Israel, the Jews in particular. They're fighting people who hate their guts because they're Jews. They're not fighting over land. They're not the Hezbollah people and the Hamas people. They're not Iranian. You know what I'm saying? They're not even. I mean, with respect to Hamas and Iran, they're not even the same type Muslims. They basically think each other are cults. Shia and Sunni, I'm talking about.
Right.
So what you have here is just rank, utter hatred for the Jews, anti-Semitism. Yes, they would argue that the Jews have no right to that land. I'm sure they'll put that in there. But basically it comes down to just hatred for the Jews because they're Jews. But what I wanted to ask you, Joel, is, what I was going to say was, I was reading an article last night where the commentator was saying it's so easy for especially American ultra-liberals to critique every move that Israel makes in defense of itself, since there are no rockets being fired at Martha's Vineyard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These people live in their own enclaves and just nitpick what Israel does while they're not having to face annihilation of their own people on an ongoing basis. You want to comment on that? And then
Yes. Yeah. Look. American liberals didn't want to build, and they still don't want to build, a missile defense system for America. Right. It was Democrats and liberals who mocked President Ronald Reagan in the 1980s when he said, look, we have to build a missile defense system. Will it be hard? Yes. Will it be expensive? Of course. But we need to do it to defend ourselves so we're not vulnerable to nuclear blackmail from the Soviet Union or anyone else. But the Democrats mocked him as being in a delusional fantasy world where all he knew was Star Wars, the movie. But Israel has actually taken Ronald Reagan's advice and built a multi-layered missile defense system that the Democrats were opposed to for a long time. Now, to their credit, let's be fair. President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden at the time are the ones that actually funded the Iron Dome system and have been supportive, as many Democrats, not all, of our missile defense program. But right now, the White House wants Israel only to defend itself, but not to defeat our enemies. The problem is one of these missiles one day coming from Iran is going to have a nuclear warhead. And what if we miss? We cannot allow ourselves to constantly play defense. To win a war, you have to go on offense. You have to defeat, not just defend. And that's what Democrats, most of them, unfortunately, just don't understand. And yet, as I talk about on our lead story at All Israel News, and I do encourage people to go, allisrael.com, our lead story is on Biden trying to pressure Netanyahu to stand down and not go after the Iranian leadership, the Iranian oil refineries, or the Iranian nuclear facilities. But I also quote lots of Israelis and Americans, including a prominent Democrat, former defense secretary under Bill Clinton, William Cohen, who says that's exactly what Israel is planning and should do at this moment.
Go ahead, Ray.
Joel,
let me go back to something you said earlier, which is actually tremendously concerning. Israel is fighting, you said, a 7-front war. It's hard enough if you're just going after Hamas or if you're just going after Hezbollah, but a 7-front war, the two questions: how do you fight and win a war like that? And I guess my second question is, can Israel win? Can they win this battle? And if so, in order to win, what really does Israel need from the United States to help them win?
Well, those are two good questions, Ray. So let me give you the concise answer. What you need to win, humanly speaking, is the world's only superpower to act like the world's only superpower. Congress has already overwhelmingly voted on a bipartisan basis, despite, the craziness in the squad, overwhelming bipartisan support for billions and billions of dollars of arms and missiles and interceptors for Israel. President Biden signed it. He just won't spend it. He just won't give Israel all the weapons we need. Why? Because he's trying to leverage us into surrender, because he thinks that's the better way. And so what we need, humanly speaking, is a ally who acts like an ally. We're not asking American soldiers, men and women, to put boots on the ground in the Middle East to fight for us. We're just asking for the tools so we can finish the job. That's what the British asked in World War II. Now, eventually, American forces were required to win World War II, but that's because of the appeasement that had happened for decades prior. Israel's not asking for American boots on the ground, but we're asking for the tools so that we can finish the job and the political support at the UN and elsewhere. But here's the main thing. Ultimately, Israel is not a normal country. We have the God of Israel, and Israelis are not appealing to the God of Israel. They don't understand. They don't really know the God of Israel because they don't know his son, Jesus the Messiah. So we who are evangelicals who do know the God of Israel personally and have been personally adopted into his family through our faith by grace in the Lord Jesus the Messiah, we need to prayerfully intercede on behalf of Israel and the Jewish people. I believe we're seeing God supernaturally respond to the prayers of millions of evangelicals all over the world by giving Israel these tremendous, miraculous, truly miraculous successes in recent weeks, assassinating the head of Hezbollah, Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah, in broad daylight, in the center of Beirut, in a bunker 60 feet underground. That's miraculous, okay? Taking out the head of Hamas in a guest room in Tehran a few months ago. That's Ismail Haniyeh. That's miraculous. Nobody else was killed, just the head of Hamas. And now, taking out 18 of the top 18 senior commanders of Hezbollah in the last few days, taking out 4,000 Hezbollah senior and mid-level commanders with explosive-laden pagers and walkie-talkies. That's genius, but it takes more than genius. It's taking the act of God to defend Israel, even though the Israelis don't know God personally yet, but evangelicals do, and we love Israel and we love the Jewish people. Yes, we love Palestinians and Lebanese also, and we want mercy and security and peace and healing for them, but we are interceding for Israel to win, and God is hearing our prayers, and we best not stop.
Joel, just one more question for you. We're coming up on Monday, the 1-year anniversary of that horrible massacre there in southern Israel. I have two questions, actually. Have you been shocked by the reaction of young people on our campuses in this country, how quickly they turned on Israel? And number two, what is the political climate in Israel 1 year after this massacre? Does Netanyahu still have the support of the country to continue this battle?
So I wasn't shocked, horrified, but not shocked by the reaction of liberal geniuses, so quote unquote, on the campuses of Columbia, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Stanford, in Berkeley. I mean, because what they're learning from fellow so-called geniuses is the exact opposite of wisdom. And so it's not surprising if they don't understand, basic biblical truth that they're going to get Israel wrong. Okay? It's horrifying, but it's not surprising. I would contrast that to the young people of Israel who don't know the Lord, right? And so that's a problem. But stood up. Like, they've risen to the challenge. They are fighting tooth and nail to defend our country. And it's pretty impressive to watch. Kids who were on TikTok a year ago are now fighting for their lives and our country and are winning. That's pretty impressive. In terms of Netanyahu, his actual political fortunes are rising right now. His numbers are going up. His party's numbers are going up. And he just picked up 4 seats from one of the opposition leaders, Gideon Sa'ar, who used to be an ally of Netanyahu, but then had a break with him several years ago because of big, deep disagreements. But Gideon Sa'ar and his party of 4 have decided to join the Netanyahu government right now, just last week. Why? Because they want to win. They don't agree with Netanyahu on everything, but they believe that the country needs to be unified to win, that now is not the right time for elections. There will be a time, and Netanyahu will have to defend himself for the catastrophic failure on October 7th last year. But right now, we are not looking back to litigate the past. We're trying to win right now. And I think Gideon Sa'ar did the right thing, and I hope the rest of the country of Israel will unify. But it actually, it's pretty heartening that right now we're more unified than ever, and we're winning, even though Biden is not helping. But give Netanyahu a lot of credit right now because he is defying Biden, and he's leading Israel to victory. And we need to keep praying for him and his people, not out of partisanship, but out of our biblical mandate to stand with Israel and bless Israel in the name of Jesus.
Yeah. Thank you, Joel. Appreciate it very much. We encourage people to go to your website, allisrael.com, and read your thoughts and information there. Thank you so much.
My honor. Thank you.